Hey, Collateral Cinema listeners, Chazzle Dazzle here from the Trial by Air Variety Show podcast. Just taking a few seconds to invite you guys over to what we do. Much like Collateral Cinema, we are a grassroots podcast. We invite bands from all over the world to come in and we dig deep into their souls and find really cool stories to tell you, and there's tons of music every week, so subscribe to us wherever you subscribe to your podcast. We look forward to having you.
Let me tell you something, brother. Collateral Cinema Director's Cut is coming straight at you with an exclusive WrestleMania-themed episode, so stick around, brother. The show starts right now. Welcome to Collateral Cinema Director's Cut. I'm Beau Maddox.
I'm Robert Ortegon.
And we are podcasting straight from somewhere in South Texas. And yes, my friends, we are a 420-friendly podcast. So whatever you have, smoke it if you've got it. And in case you couldn't tell from our impeccably made intro, right, Robert?
I couldn't tell. Who did that? I couldn't tell.
Oh, I wonder who did that.
Who did that?
This podcast, this episode, is all about wrestling because WrestleMania 37 just happened. It just finished up its second night as we are speaking. Roman Reigns retained the title, and Bianca Belair won her main event, and she's the SmackDown Women's Champion now.
Good for her.
Yeah, good for her. Like, congratulations to both of them. Robert, I mean, what did you think about this card for WrestleMania this year?
You know, I wasn't expecting it too much because of the build-up going into WrestleMania before the pay-per-views, really, you know?
Yeah.
You know, a lot of them weren't really grudge matches. Most of them really didn't make sense. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, most of them were title matches, and it seems like a lot of titles really changed hands this time.
I guess, you know, the current title holders were just holding on to them too long, you know?
Yeah. I mean, the main event of night 2, that's Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, and who else was it?
That was Edge.
Edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. All these individuals coming back from such adversity. You know, Roman Reigns with his leukemia diagnosis. Yeah, Daniel Bryan and Edge having to retire after injuries. I mean, to have all three of these men in a three-way main event, I mean, that was monumental. But, I mean, not as historical as Bianca Belair winning against Sasha Banks. Like, what are your thoughts on that match?
Oh, I really didn't get to see any of it, you know?
Yeah, but did you see some of the build-up to it?
Yeah, I saw a lot of the build-ups and a lot of the pay-per-views and before leading up to WrestleMania. And mostly just because I don't get Raw. I mean, I'm watching SmackDown, you know.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You don't get the other channel.
Yeah.
But, I mean, I remember you saying something about Belair being the superior athlete. I mean, I could kind of see that. Sasha Banks, she's a great show person, or however you want to say. She is electrifying, really. And, you know, I mean, with the absence of, like, Becky Lynch or Ronda Rousey, I mean, she's really stepped up and kind of filled that role. And, I mean, I've been kind of following her reign on Instagram more than anything. And, I mean, it looks like she kind of made it a little fun, you know, but also really dramatic and, you know, kind of with really emotional matches in the build-up to it. So, yeah, I mean, that's really historic. Also, first time ever, 2 black women main eventing a WrestleMania. That's another historic first right there, you know.
For the WWE Women's Championship.
I think it's SmackDown.
SmackDown Women's Championship.
Yeah, it's SmackDown Women's Championship. And, I mean, yeah, the Roman Reigns victory, I mean, good for him. I'm glad that he started to get the push that he needed. You know, I mean, early on, there was a lot of people who were sketchy about him, but now he's kind of gotten his flow, more or less.
Yeah, he had to fork over the Universal title because of leukemia.
Yeah, exactly. He had to fork that over. I mean, that was a very, very, like, sad moment.
I think it was a triple threat pay-per-view, too, where he had to fork it over, you know?
Yeah, that's so sad.
Relinquish the title, and then they have a tournament for it, you know?
Yeah. But, I mean, there were a bunch of other matches that I'm somewhat familiar with. There was a Cesaro versus Seth Rollins. I think Cesaro won against Rollins.
Yeah, he was carrying that torch with him all the way to WrestleMania.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, I think that there was a tag team title that changed hands. I think it was a New Day, right?
Yeah, with AJ Styles too.
Yeah, no, it was AJ Styles and who was the other guy?
I forgot, man.
I forgot. But yeah, AJ Styles and his partner, they defeated the New Day for the title, I believe.
It doesn't matter. It was just all AJ Styles.
It's all AJ Styles. I mean, yeah, AJ Styles, I mean, what can be said about him?
If you haven't seen his work, then you're missing everything.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we're actually really huge fans of AJ Styles here. Like, I mean, he has a pretty storied career already, going all the way back to like TNA, New Japan,
freaking
like Indies,
WWE. No, was it WCW Junior Cruiserweight?
Oh yeah, that was
before those went off.
Yeah, that was like years ago. Damn.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you can tell, we are excited about wrestling and WrestleMania here. I mean, just short of starting a wrestling podcast, you know. I mean, I know that Robert here, like, he's been a lifelong wrestling fan. He owns like a bunch of different types of pay-per-views on DVD.
I used to.
You used to, yeah, that's right.
I think I'm going to go back and collect them all again.
Yeah, I've started collecting quite a few. I've got like the bloodiest matches of ECW, which is a great nostalgia trip. I mean, I highly recommend buying it if you can track it down. It's brutal, it's bloody, it's everything that was great about ECW, you know. It's a great tribute.
I think I only have 2 TNA pay-per-views now.
Yeah, I have them right here. It's Hard Justice 07 and Turning Point.
There we go.
Yeah, I think that was Samoa Joe versus Kurt Angle in one of those matches, I believe.
Yeah.
And didn't it have like a early Bobby Lashley in one of them? Like early on?
He would just go back and forth from WWE to TNA.
As a lot of wrestlers are wont to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. But we also love watching movies, both about wrestling and starring wrestling stars. And so that's how we're tying this into, you know, the Collateral cinema thing. But this time around, we decided to dig up a documentary. I believe it's from the late 90s. It's the documentary Beyond the Mat. And then that's where we're going to start our review. This movie is very much a snapshot of everything that wrestling was up to that point.
In the 80s.
In the 80s, in the 90s mainly. This
70s,
is a
90s.
Yeah, this is a snapshot of late 90s wrestling. I mean, it shows a lot of key events happening here. Like, for instance,
90s ECW.
90s ECW of the very first pay-per-view that they did, right?
Yeah. Just bringing ECW from the ground up.
Paul Heyman.
Paul Heyman, sorry.
Yeah, they introduced Terry Funk in this movie, who, I mean, the Funker is the living legend, you know.
His name speaks for itself, you know.
Yeah, it speaks for himself. I mean, he pretty much elevated hardcore wrestling to a higher art form in a way. I mean, he has given his body to this business, much like another subject of this movie, Mick Foley, who we'll talk about here in a little bit. But Terry Funk's, I guess you could say, his arc here in the narrative of the documentary, it's very well juxtaposed versus the other wrestlers, you know, like Jake the Snake. They feature Mick Foley. They also feature, you know, Paul Heyman in the ECW promotion and the McMahons and the WWE promotion and all of that. And, you know, some of the other stars, I think Coco Beware makes a brief appearance here. And Draws makes an appearance. This was well before he was even starting in the WWE and way before his unfortunate accident in the ring.
Yeah.
And apparently he could puke on command, which is quite a talent when you really think about it. Right, Robert?
Regurgitate on command, yeah.
I mean, where do you go with a character like that? I mean, what do you think Vince was actually thinking there?
I would just, like, hold down other wrestlers and start puking on their faces.
Ew, gross, dude. No fucking way.
Make a whole gimmick out of it.
Yeah. I mean, they didn't end up making it that gimmick. He was just Draws. And, I mean, I think that he was briefly with the Ministry of Darkness for a while. The corporate ministry or whatever with Undertaker. You know, when they were all fucking straight up, like, satanic and everything.
And then he turns into a biker.
He turns into, yeah, the American Badass. He turned into the biker.
And then he marries Michelle McCool or something.
Who the fuck did he marry?
Michelle McCool, another diva.
Oh, shit. But yeah, Terry Funk's story here, I mean, it shows him just pretty much doing everything he can to really get ECW off of the ground. And then, yeah, this is very much a snapshot of ECW back in its early days, back when it had its original arena, when it was really coming up as a promotion. You know, after this, they got an exclusive deal with the Nashville network to start showing weekly wrestling shows. And I mean, Terry Funk, I mean, he goes in and he does his thing. I mean, he gets bloody. He uses chairs, tables, all kinds of implements. Robert, I mean, what are your thoughts on the Funker, man? I mean...
Oh, man, that dude can go, like, all night.
All fucking night, right?
Even for his age, like 50. And, like, he's been wrestling for, like, 35 years, right?
Yeah, at the very least he has. And up to that point, and he does announce his retirement here.
With Bret Hart.
With Bret Hart, yeah, he has his last retirement match. There's this little drama with an old school wrestler friend of his from back in the old promotions, and he's like, man, I want you to be there. I want you to be there. And this guy, he can't swallow his pride, but finally he does, and he referees the match. I can't recall the guy's name for the life of me.
We'll call him Patrick Duffy.
Patrick Duffy, yeah, he kind of had that look to him, right? Like older Patrick Duffy. But yeah, I mean, you get to see a little bit of this match between Terry Funk and Bret the Hitman Hart, and it's a very emotional moment. Now, of course, 3 months later, he's back on the road wrestling, which makes you wonder, I mean, was this a kayfabe thing? Was this...
Probably just to sell tickets. I don't know.
Just to sell tickets?
I don't know. Not really sure.
Yeah, right on. But the other wrestler that they feature here, who I think gets the best arc, is, of course, Mr. Mick Foley himself. Another legend.
Yeah, he's basically Terry Funk's counterpart.
Very much. Just maybe 20 years younger.
Yeah.
At that time.
But they can
at all times.
Dude, they can both go all night.
Seriously, I mean, they show so much old footage of Mick Foley, like, running off of and jumping off of his goddamn own roof, you know, like onto mattresses and shit. It's like just being a madman. They show a little bit of the King of the Ring 97 match with Undertaker, which, if you know anything about wrestling, that is like just the moment that Mankind just exploded as a character.
So he prepared his whole life for that moment.
He did. He prepared for it his whole life. And man, I mean, there was those two big moments. That first throw off of the cage onto the announcer's table.
Yeah, that's in history.
That's historic right there. And then there was that malfunction. That was actually a botch on the top, right? That wasn't meant to happen.
We just went straight through and then hit the bottom.
Yeah, I think Undertaker, he chokeslammed him, right?
Yeah, he chokeslammed him.
He straight just chokeslammed him straight through the fucking cage.
But when he hits the floor, dude, his body like whiplashes, ragdolls, and it's like,
oh,
yeah,
it's terrifying. And there was a goddamn metal chair down there as well. Yeah. I mean, that was just awful to watch, man. But I mean, and remember, he had a tooth knocked out and it was hanging out from his fucking nostril.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just seen as like a very important match. And I'm glad that they really touched upon it and kind of got Mankind's thoughts about it, or Mick Foley's thoughts, I should say. But then later on, it shows a lot of footage of him with his family, which, oh my lord, this is just so adorable. He's a fucking teddy bear, man.
He's a family man.
He's a family man. I mean, at the time his kids are young, I mean, and they're so fucking adorable. I mean, every time was just heartwarming seeing that.
Oh.
And that's what made the match between him and The Rock at Royal Rumble that year, where he was taking just all those chair shots. Scary fucking chair shots, man.
Dude.
Like, I mean, I was wincing watching that shit.
Dude, his head was bashed in. Once you clean all the blood up, you can see all the... Dude, no.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's real.
It's real. Yeah. I mean, that shows the real aspects of wrestling. Yeah, it has a determined outcome and everything, but wrestlers do ad-lib a lot of the time in the ring. They do have at least a set idea of where things are going to go, and then they just kind of play off each other, and that's how you get a good match. And you know, Taker and Mankind, that's what they did. They just went above and beyond what they needed to do in that match, and in the match between Mankind and The Rock, I mean, you see Mick Foley's family out in the crowd, and they're freaking the fuck out, man. Like, just every fucking chair hit. And before the match, he's already telling his kids, is like, you know that daddy's not going to get hurt, right? You know that daddy's friend isn't going to actually be hurting him, right?
Dwayne Johnson?
Yeah, Dwayne Johnson. We see an early, young Dwayne Johnson just fresh into his, really rising career as The Rock, the people's champion. And, I mean, he's so friendly, and he talks to Mick's children and everything, reassures them and everything. It's a very sweet moment. And then you just see the depravity of that match. And the kids just terrified and fucking crying, and Mick Foley bloody, like handcuffed and shit.
It's like, yeah, that's real. Those chairs are real.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's a reason why they stopped having wrestlers hit people with chairs on their heads. I mean, you just don't see that anymore.
Concussed.
Yeah, that became a controversy all its own with the WWE. They kind of were trying to either obfuscate or just outright deny that was happening.
Just like the NFL.
Just like the NFL. Exactly.
Dude.
Yeah, I mean, that's not fucking cool, especially when wrestlers are not given like any kind of health insurance in the WWE, which is just dreadful. But, I mean, that's a subject for another conversation, though.
Yeah,
it's unfortunate. It is what it is. Maybe the wrestlers can unionize. I don't know.
I'd go to AEW.
Yeah, or just go to AEW.
AEW.
You'll probably be treated well. I mean, look at Jake the Snake. He's in AEW, and Lee looks like he's having a blast.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a serious fucking juxtaposition to where he was at during this particular documentary. And this is where this movie gets really dark. I mean, Jake the Snake Roberts, at that time, he just did not live a healthy life at all at that time. He was unfortunately mired in addiction. I mean, it's like you said, Robert, he was lost. I mean, he looked lost. It was hard to see. It actually kind of made this whole thing a little disturbing.
I've been that way, too.
Yeah, I understand, man.
It's not fun, man.
Yeah.
Nope.
It's like, seriously, if you have any issues with addiction, please get help. I mean, like, I'm sure that our friends at Victims and Villains might have some resources. I don't know. But anyway, Jake the Snake really opens up about everything that has been happening in his life up to that point to the director of this movie. And I mean, it's like, damn, man, it's just so sad. And then he meets up with his estranged daughter, and they have a serious discussion, like very serious. It's heartbreaking. I think after that, he ends up going and smoking crack.
Yeah, dude, it's almost like a HBO story or something.
Yeah, it's rough, man. But yeah, I mean, it's good that he's doing well now. I mean, he actually has a pretty high up position in AEW. I think he's like the main director of like talent relations or something like that.
Good. Give him something to look forward to, right?
Yeah. And I mean, he's helping to grow AEW, and he looks good. He looks healthy. He actually looks like he's in a good frame of mind. So
I don't get the AEW channel. We need to watch more of that, though.
Yeah, honestly, AEW is kind of killing it, even though I heard that they have like 30 dozen stables right now.
Yeah. I think I was there to watch Chris Jericho become the first ever AEW champion, and then Jon Moxley would take it from him.
Yeah. And did you see that stadium stampede that they did when the lockdowns first started? That was insane, bro. That was an innovative way to do a wrestling match. They just let like Matt Hardy, and I forget who else it was, but I know Matt Hardy was there. They just let them loose in this football stadium, dude.
Oh, man.
And it was just insane, bro. It was fucking insane.
Probably the Bucks or
the
Jacksons, Generation Me.
Yeah. At that time, I think that's who they were feuding with. But yeah, I mean, Jake the Snake seems to be doing better now. So, I mean, at least that story has a little bit of a better ending. I mean, I don't know if he ever really reconciled with his daughter, but yeah, I mean, and it's interesting to kind of juxtapose that with Mick Foley in this movie. who, I mean, like I said, he's just wholesomeness incarnate. And, you know, and he put his body through so much, and Jake the Snake put his body through so much.
I remember when Mick Foley became one of the executive shareholders for TNA.
Yeah, I remember that too. In one of these pay-per-views, they're doing like an invasion angle, I think, with like the new talent of like the main roster talent of TNA versus like a lot of the old legacy guys like Sting, Scott Steiner, Kevin Nash, fucking Booker T.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, who was it that insulted Mick Foley to his face?
That was Alex Shelby.
Alex Shelby.
Alex Shelby, one half of the Motor City Machine Guns.
Yeah, man, that's actually kind of a classic moment, and Mick Foley's just like, these guys, man, these guys, and it's just like, oh man, it's like Mick Foley just knows how to bring it no matter where he's at and no matter what he's doing. I mean, the poor man could barely walk.
It don't look good when he's walking.
Yeah, but I mean, he just like Terry Funk gave a lot to this business. You know, he gave a lot to it. And I mean, I think we're all thankful to them in the end. I mean, that's another thing that this movie shows is just, you know, what this business does to certain people within, you know? And it has a lot of other angles to it. Like, for instance, very briefly, they have New Jack on there. And they don't get too far into New Jack. And if you know anything about him, you know he's batshit fucking crazy. I mean, he's certifiably crazy. Look at his Twitter feed.
Oh, good.
His Twitter feed is hilarious, though. It's probably one of the best wrestling Twitter feeds on the whole platform, honestly, because he just says some random shit. Probably him and Iron Sheik are just entertainment, purely, you know. But yeah, I mean, New Jack, he kind of talks a little bit about his own philosophy at the time. He's just like, look, I'm a violent man. I will fucking hurt you. I don't give a fuck. I don't fucking care.
That's what I get paid to do.
And, you know, I mean, he was involved in some infamous moments, like, for instance, the mass transit incident, where he bladed a young kid who lied about his age at a house show and severed some of his arteries in his head, and he started, like, bleeding out. I mean, he didn't die immediately, but, I mean, like, the kid's father was threw in the towel. He's just like, he's a kid, stop.
Yeah.
It's just like, I mean, my God. I mean, the only reason that any charges didn't stick there is because, you know, he lied about being of age. Right. I think he lied about, you know, being trained by Jimmy the Snuka, I think.
What
the
hell?
Yeah, he fucking said something to that effect. Or training with King Kong Bundy or some such nonsense.
Oh, what a liar.
I know, right? Fucking kid, you know? But, I mean, he also, I think that he did a match with the Iron Sheik that he actually stabbed him, like, repeatedly. Straight took out a blade and stabbed him. He tried to kill a guy in ECW.
Like a fork or something?
Yeah, it was like a fork. I think it was like a straight knife.
Straight knife.
It was a blade. Yeah. So, yeah, New Jack is insane. And New Jack, if you're listening, please don't hurt us. We're cool. We're cool, man.
I think I've seen New Jack take, like, forks to Brother Devon's freaking head.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Devon's head is fucked up, dude.
Brother Devon, man. I mean, didn't Spike Dudley briefly show up here?
Yeah, man. There was three of them, like the little Spike Dudley too.
Yeah. They had little Spike Dudley there.
Like,
he's all bloodied up and everything.
Brother Runt, remember that?
Yeah, Brother Runt, exactly. That's actually a classic character right there, man. I wish they would have brought him into the WWE when they brought the Dudley boys, you know?
Yeah.
Which, I mean, yeah, those guys really made a contribution. I mean, they helped pretty much create tables, ladders, and chairs.
I think they got over 23 World Tag Team titles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they have an illustrious fucking career.
Yeah, probably a little more than the Road Warriors. I mean, the Road Warriors captured every major single tag team title at that era, though.
Yeah, but this movie also shows an indie promotion who has a couple of wrestlers that try out for the WWF at the time, WWE now. Yeah, this is before the lawsuit. And they don't get any callbacks from the company, but, I mean, hey, they're forever immortalized in this movie. You know, I mean, featured with, you know, the likes of Funker and Foley and Jake the Snake and who else briefly shows up here? Like I said, Coco Beware out of nowhere.
It's pretty much like lost talent everybody forgot from like the Legends of WrestleMania era.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't know. I guess that we can go ahead and give a little bit of a rating for this movie. I really liked it. It was very nostalgic. It was, like I said, it was a snapshot of a certain time and place in wrestling history that you just kind of had to be there for.
Yeah, and we were there.
We were there. Yeah, I remember the Raw versus Nitro Wars. I remember when SmackDown first became a thing, you know. But
yeah,
I mean, I'm going to give this a 4.5 out of 5. It's actually really captivating. It tells some interesting stories about some great people from this business and even some troubled people from this business. And, you know, it really doesn't sugarcoat anything here. I mean, it actually shows what the backstage is like at a big promotion and a promotion like ECW.
Yeah.
Or even smaller promotions. I mean, it kind of just shows that side of the business. And it's a really interesting deep dive into this world, and I would really like a follow-up. I think that Beyond the Mat 2, like 20-some or 30-some years later, and, you know, we're taking a look at wrestling as it is now, how it's evolved. Because, I mean, it was a different entity back then, you know?
Attitude Era.
Yeah, that was Attitude Era. I mean, you were just starting to get some of the New Japan styles into wrestling at that point.
Japan,
Mexico. It was just in Mexico. It was like, I mean, WCW kind of fostered it with their cruiserweight division, but it was just then starting to kind of infiltrate the Western markets and promotions and everything. So, I mean, yeah, this movie really captures all of that. So, yeah, I highly recommend it. How about you, Robert? What are your thoughts and what's your rating on this?
I give it a 5 out of 5.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough.
I mean, I've only seen it. This is my second time seeing it, but, you know, the Jake the Snake Roberts story and the Terry Funk story are a lot similar to the Mickey Rourke's character in The Wrestler. Basically, Mickey Rourke's character plays them. He played, yeah.
Yeah, it kind of feels like his character was kind of a combination of Terry Funk and Jake the Snake.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, you know, I mean, two very different career paths, but, you know, very important career paths.
Yeah.
In the annals of wrestling.
Kind of like there from the start of it all, right?
Yeah, going all the way back to the early promotion days, you know, of all the different territories and whatnot.
There you go.
But, I mean, yeah, 5 out of 5, I think that's a fair enough assessment. I only gave it a 4.5 out of 5 because, you know, I mean, it is a little rough around the edges here or there as far as production-wise, but it's still a captivating movie. And even if you are not a wrestling fan, or, you know, if you're like one of the whole, you know, wrestling is fake, it's just stupid, which is a bunch of guys and girls just bashing each other. It's like, no, it's so much more. There's a narrative function to it. There's an artistic flourish to it. Yeah. And especially now, right?
Now more than ever, I think, right?
Yeah, now more than ever. I mean, especially what you're seeing in AEW. And also what you saw, you know, from TNA Impact during its heyday. But
now it's Impact Wrestling because it's not good enough to be called the old TNA, right?
No, it's not good enough to be TNA. No,
not anymore.
That's too bad because TNA was a good promotion. It really was. Yeah, but one final thing, Robert, what's some of your favorite performances of wrestlers in movies? Like that you can think of off the top of your head. Like what really stands out?
Probably 12 rounds with John Cena.
12 rounds with John Cena? Yeah.
And when he did the Marine.
Yeah, that's a movie that's kind of a little bit of a cult hit, actually.
Yeah, he did the first Marine.
Yeah.
And maybe that Stone Cold Steve Austin movie, The Condemned, right?
The Condemned? Oh, yeah, that's right. That was kind of just it was like a military action movie, right?
Yeah.
He was like a Navy SEAL or something like that?
Yeah, I think he served as something. Spec Ops or something.
Well, I can think just off the top of my head, quite possibly one of the most quotable wrestlers in movies was Jesse the Body Ventura in Predator. I mean, straight up, it's like, I don't got time to bleed. It's like, oh man, it's like that movie, it almost feels like it could have been a WWE movie back in the day, right?
You know what? Probably.
Yeah, it kind of felt like it. And I mean, he is actually really awesome in that fucking movie.
He's not bad of an actor, man. I like his conspiracy theories too.
Yeah, he went a little off of the deep end there.
They're entertaining. They're amusing. That's what they are.
Yeah, but I mean, you could tell that he is a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great dude.
Yeah, he is. It's like, I mean, he served his country. I mean, he did his time in the service, and he came back and he built a fucking career for himself, and he became a politician. I mean, that's a hell of a rise. I mean, and also as an actor.
You can do it with a GI Bill, right?
Yeah.
If you can.
And of course, I mean, with wrestlers in movies, you can't go too far without mentioning Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. I mean, he has had some interesting roles in movies, you know. Like, he was in Southland Tales, which was the follow-up from the director of Donnie Darko, and makes absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever, and has the most random fucking cast ever. It's got Sherry O'Terry, Christopher Lambert, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, fucking Kevin Smith is in there randomly, Wallace Shawn. Yeah, it's a weird fucking movie, but to me, that's a Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson role that really stands out a lot.
That rundown where he was carrying the boards. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh no, that was Walking Tall, right?
Walking Tall.
Yeah. He was. That was the Buford Pusser story.
The rundown was the one with Sean William Scott, right?
Yeah, that's the one right there. And of course, he started doing all those movies with Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, they have good chemistry together. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, and they are actually friends in real life. But I mean, let's also bring up, Hulk Hogan. I mean, he has done some interesting movies like
Suburban
Commando. Like, I was frozen today. It's like, that is just so classic. I don't care how bad it is. And I know that, Terry Bollea might be kind of a egotistical, racist dick. I'm sorry to say. I mean, given past... once again, Hulk Hogan, please don't hurt us.
Yeah, don't sue us.
Please don't hurt us. We're just stating facts, dude.
Fact.
Brother. But, yeah, I mean, he was in Suburban Commando. What else did he do? Wasn't there that one movie where he was like a nanny or something? and then they put him in a fucking... Or am I thinking of Suburban Commando?
Probably Suburban Commando.
Is that Suburban Commando that I'm thinking of?
How many other movies did he do?
No, there was that one movie where he was trying to, there was that truck full of toxic waste, and he was trying to stop it from being transported or something to that effect. Yeah, I mean...
Oh, he was in Rocky 3, remember?
Yeah, and you know what? You also can't go without mentioning Rowdy Roddy fucking Piper in the seminal horror sci-fi classic They Live. He is amazing in that movie, right?
Like for years.
Yeah, it's like, why didn't his movie career, blow up after that?
Yeah, well, in that role, as young as he was, dude, he looked like a natural.
He was a natural in it. I mean, it was in a role that was actually well written, like, for him and everything. So, I mean, I kind of wish that he would have had a better movie career.
Yeah, kind of stuck with it.
Yeah.
Quite frankly, what we've come up with is, since you are able to regurgitate, on command, it just seems to me that it's pretty logical that you should be puke.
It's all supposed to be fun.
The Rock is the most electrifying man in sports entertainment today.
It's not supposed to be real.
You're not gonna be scared, right?
It's gonna be okay.
You can go Back to the Future. You can do anything, right?
But behind the scenes, it's a whole different story.
I hope everyone feels like they got their money's worth out there.
And for the first time ever, you'll know the real truth.
He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke! He's gonna puke! It is showtime!
The hard facts.
Worried about him as far as his health.
You need a new knee now.
She's gonna live here the rest of her life probably, and have 7 kids and 7 husbands, and she'll always remember tonight, man.
The family pain.
You make it sound like you don't even want to live.
There's times I know. A lot of times I know.
The real danger.
I'm a very violent person, and I'll hurt you. So I get paid to do what I'm doing. It's like with any entertainer.
Come face to face with the wrestling world the way it's never been seen before.
What gave up Wall Street for? Wall Street wasn't fun. Wrestling is fun.
It's still hard after all these years.
I just don't want to hurt no more.
This is the dance!
Beyond the mat.
I think we touched a lot of people, if you don't mind me saying.
But anyway, we're going to go ahead and start wrapping things up. Robert, is there anything you'd like to plug?
I'll just plug Collateral Cinema. I'll plug Killing Night.
Killing Night.
Watch it.
Yeah, you can watch it. I think we have it pinned on our Facebook profile, and it's on IGTV, right?
IGTV. I think we got it pinned to Twitter, too.
It's also on YouTube.
It's on YouTube, so go ahead and find that.
Yeah, go ahead and find that.
And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you can.
Yes, definitely. And subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. We do have a channel with most all of our podcasts on there. And very soon, we will be working on a YouTube show, right, Robert?
Hopefully.
Hopefully.
In the works.
In the works. Low budget late night.
We just need a couple of producers to greenlight the project.
Yeah, something to that effect. And our next episode of Collateral Cinema, our next couple of episodes will be kind of interesting. We're going to do our 420 special. That's going to be Jay and Silent Bob Strikes Back. We are also going to do The Toxic Avenger with Michael Cornwell. And that's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. And also look for episodes on Drive, Hooper, Star Trek Beyond, and our season finale is The Interview. We're going to be winding the season down here pretty soon, so yeah, give us a follow on Twitter, on Instagram as well. Check us out on Facebook. We are on Patreon as well. We have $1 and $5 tiers, and we have full-length film commentaries. And every other Director's Cut episode, we're going to do a free commentary of a low-budget or public domain movie. I think we're going to be doing the Buttercream Gang next on that. So look for that from us, and look for more interesting content from the Director's Cut. I think that we might probably try to extend this beyond the initial Collateral Cinema season, so I don't know. We'll see what happens. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and get out of here. Once again, congratulations to all the winners of WrestleMania. It's like, hell yeah. And happy WrestleMania weekend, everybody.
Oh, yeah.
Hell yeah. Ooh, yeah. Oh, yeah. That's right, brother. Brother. Collateral Cinema is out, brother.
Bye.
You're a very, very sick man.
I saw it. There is absolutely no doubt.
What do you think this is?
I saw it. I saw it. There is absolutely no doubt.
Are you ready to accept my domination?
Collateral Cinema is a Collateral Media podcast. All music and movie clips are owned by their respective creators and are used for educational purposes only. Please don't sue us. We're poor.